So this will just be a very fast one. I just want to assume that you already have an access, that you've been given an access to the Ethiopian chapter coffee plant. And so if you have, apparently, so let's assume that you're here. All you need to do is come to code and ensure that you have this URL, HTTPS URL copied. So once you have that copied, although I won't be using it, but I'll show you what you need to do from your own side on GitHub desktop. So you go to your GitHub desktop, and so I already have this, so it may be a bit different from yours, but of course the interface is going to be the same. So you come to this repository. So in a way, your default repository may actually be your own, any of your own personal repository. So, but in a way, you just come here, click on this drop-down button, and click on Add. You won't directly see all this here, but at least at first, when you've already set up your GitHub desktop, you should at least maybe see your default repository. But whichever way, anyhow you want to add any new repository, the first thing you have to do is just to come here, click on Add, and then click on Clone Repository. And so that way, when you click on Clone Repository, when you go to GitHub, ordinarily most of the time, you may actually see all your repositories here, including the one that you have been given an access to for you to collaborate on. And so, for instance, you could see the one from Omdena AI, and of course, you see the different ones here. So, in your case, apparently you're going to be looking for the chapter coffee plants. So, you at this point, you won't necessarily need the URL anymore, because once you just click on these and then you click on clone, it will automatically clone the repository for you. So that's all you need. Just scroll down, try to look for it first. If you don't see it, then you use URL and you type in the URL, but I think you won't really need to go through that route. And so ordinarily when you post a URL, I'm sorry, you should be able to clone. But since you've been given an access to the GitHub page, the GitHub project to collaborate on, then if you scroll down, you'll be able to see all the ones you've been given access to. Then you can click on it and then you click on clone. So now, assuming you've cloned it already, just ensure that once you've cloned, ensure that your current repository, the one you want to work on, is selected, which is the coffee plant. Now, this is the second part, which is very important. And so before you even go through this part, you need to click on Fetch Origin. So Fetch Origin will help you to, update your whatever has been put into the folder. That's the main branch. And so that way you ensure that the folder you have on your own local desktop is up to date. And now, if you're going to be pushing, you need to change the current branch. So it's not ideal to always post into the main branch. That's for collaboration reasons and to at least monitor what's actually coming in rather than just pushing it directly to the main branch. And so that's the reason why we try as much as possible to create new branches. And that way you push into the branch first. If whoever the admin is actually comfortable with what you're pushing into the branch or into the main branch, the person can merge everything into the main branch. And so that's about that. But so in your case, if for instance you're working on the modeling part, you just ensure that you click on modeling. If you're working on the data collection part, you click on data collection. But if you're pushing any modeling code, of course, you just ensure that you have the tax-free modeling on. And once you do that, another thing that you need to do first and foremost is so you come to show in Finder. So apparently on your desktop, a folder has been created. I forgot to show you that, but let me just quickly try to go back. So at the point when we're cloning the repository, you see that you have a local path here. And so it's at this point that you want to choose where exactly you want your GitHub folder to at least be. So in my case, it's in the documents. I think by default, it puts it in the document and puts it inside the GitHub folder. And so let me go back to, so at the point when you've already selected your after cloning current repository, after cloning your current branch, After cloning, you've selected your branch. All the branches would actually be listed automatically, and you fetched origin to ensure that your branch is actually up to date. So you go to show in Finder. So let's say, for instance, you've already done most of your work on Google Colab. You need to download your notebook, for instance, from Google Colab. And so once you go to show in folder, you would see it would actually open the whole folder, which has already been cloned into your system. And so it's at those points, I think everything is actually inside source. So if you come here, you see that, so let me go back a bit. If you go, so I'm currently on GitHub now, so you could still check all the folders the same way on GitHub. And so everything is actually supposed to be in the source folder where we have tasks, and that's where you can go to task remodeling. So this was the one I loaded yesterday. And so if you go back to your GitHub desktop, let me go back to Finder. Yep. So so this was what you got opened in your Finder. So this, if you're not using a MacBook, it may be different in your case. Maybe, well, of course, it's still going to be about the same thing pre-close. Excuse me. So this may be showing your local desktop or something. I'm not certain, but of course, still view the files of your repository. So in that way, you ensure that you're actually in the right folder. You come into the task, so we have the source the same way. You have the tasks, you have the task tree modeling. Let me just double click on this. And then you have where you can just push your notebook. So this was the notebook that I pushed yesterday. You see this as well. Then we have the model, and you see this as well. And so apparently that's it. Once you do this, so what I'll just do here is just update the README file quickly, and then I'll show you how you can push. So in this README file, let me just make maybe a slight change, or can I change here? Final model give validation accuracy of 1.0 and the values of 0. So other metrics were generated in notebook for evaluation of the model. The final state model is also available in models for the same serial number. So let me just put dot here. That way we can just, I'll be able to show you how that works. Let me close this. Excuse me. So now we've made slight change. So that's what would happen once you drop in your own notebook. Just try to rename it to, so if you're using MobileNet, for instance, you could just put it as 2 MobileNet, just use the same, pretty much the same way, nomenclature, or a conventional name convention as we used already here. So if you're done, you go back to your, if you've dropped in your file into this folder, you go back here. Now you see that automatically any changes that you make here automatically would show that you have some files that you haven't pushed yet, or some changes that you've made. So under changes, you could see history of what has been done before in the past, but of course that's if you've already pushed something and you want to make some slight changes. But anything you've done, you'd actually see all the changes. So that way, all you just need to do is put in what the summary. I won't push this, so I'll just ignore it, but this is just to show you what you need to do. So at this point, you just at least type in a summary that explains a bit. So that way, if anyone is trying to look at some of the history of the repository, they can actually figure out what was changed or not. So let's say in your case, you're uploading MobileNet or whatsoever. So you could say uploading MobileNet model for uploading MobileNet, and you can put more description here if you want to. Once you're done, you commit to task remodeling. And so in my case, I'll still revert that. I will actually change what I did. But let me say updating the README file. So once you're done, you click on commit to task remodeling. So once you're done with that, once you commit, so that's the first step you need to do. Once you commit, then you click on push origin. So push origin, after committing, nothing has been done yet. You've only done a commit. But after committing, you need to click on push origin. So once you push origin, then it pushes it into that branch. So that's why I said initially that you have to ensure that you are in the right branch. Try as much as possible never to push directly to the main branch. It's not an ideal way of doing things in a collaborative environment. So just use the other branches that has been created. If there is no branch that that is not available and you want to create a branch, so use the same convention name that Omdena uses. But in this case, I think most of us that doing anything related to modeling, you're going to be using the tax-free modeling. Just ensure that it's checked and that you have a current branch. And so once that's done, I think that's all you need. Once that's done, you won't see you won't see anything here again. No local changes. There are no uncommitted changes in this repository, and blah blah blah. And so by the time you come here, let me refresh this. So by the time you come here and you look at the README file, you see that the ... that we added initially is actually reflected here. And so I'll actually go ahead to rechange it back. But basically, that's all you need. So whatever you do, and once you push it in, you would see your changes. Everything is going to reflect here under the tax-free modeling. If you go to main, you won't see it because it's not been matched yet. Sorry, let me go back. So let me go back to, so the reason why that's not going to show is because this folder doesn't exist yet. So we're currently in the tax-free modeling branch. So if you go to the main branch, and then you go to that same source, tasks, and you won't even see that tax-free modeling folder here. That's because it's not been matched yet, but you don't need to worry yourself about that. Whoever is the admin will definitely do the whole merging process eventually. And so, but what you just need to be worried about is make sure that you select your tax-free modeling branch here, and then you just try to look at it to ensure that what you've pushed into the project folder is already existing here. And pretty much that's it. If you need any other questions, just let me know, and then I'll kind of guide you. But I think this is all you need. Just play around with it for the first time. I can just redo what I did earlier on and change the README file quickly. Let me remove this ... or rather, instead of even removing ... okay, let me just save this first. So if I go back to the if I go back here, so it's just showing me that there are changes and the README file has been changed. So two ways: I could go back to history, updating the README file, and delete this. So I could revert the changes in the commit without any issues. So what I could do here is click on revert changes and click on okay, so because I've made a change, revert will appear here. And so let me just go back here and redo these changes that I've made. I'm sorry, it's just to, I don't want this video to be too long, but it's just to ensure that you actually got the gist. And I hope it's not going to be too heavy. So what was I doing? Okay, yeah, so let me go back here. Let me go back here, put this as ... I think that should revert the whole issue. Let me come back here. So yeah, now we have no local changes because I've made that ... back. And so what I just want to do now is, because I don't want to commit that, I do not want to commit what I did earlier, was just to revert changes in this commit. So once I do that, it will revert the changes in the commit and I push to origin. And that's all I need. But for now, that's if maybe what you've uploaded, you think, okay, it's not really important, or you just want to really, or maybe you mistakenly uploaded a totally different file entirely, and you just want to remove it from what you've done. And so basically you can go through that route, or whichever way, you can still go to the file, the folder where you have all your necessary things, and then make all the necessary changes, and then you commit. So there are just two ways you commit. You commit first here, and then once you commit, you see a blue icon that tells you to push to origin. Once you push to origin, that's all you need. And I think that's it. And once you're done, you can always come back here and see if